On Friday, November 3rd, the Lantern sat down with Interim President Mohler to answer questions about the state of the university.
What things have you been implementing? I know you said there's been some recent changes. What do those changes look like? What have you initiated or implemented within maybe the last year or this year?
Sure. So I think I'm going to keep going back to this. I think it's important that we spend a lot of time listening, and I think the second piece would be the safety of our students is our number one priority. And I think if you lead with those two things and really spend a lot of time understanding, what is it like for a student to leave the library at 8 o'clock and walk across campus, or what is it like, if you live, you don't live on campus, but you live 2 blocks, east of High Street. And so each of those scenarios has a different solution or a different outcome. It's a different ecosystem. And so, again, working with our team in public safety, working with our team, student government, working with our teams and faculty, understanding what each of those variables are. We've done some significant investments this semester. So significant investments in block by block, which you all are probably aware of. Significant investment in patrols with the CPD, with our officers here. Obviously, the University District is a separate piece of authority for Columbus that runs that, but it's a lot of our students who have been here. We're spending a lot of time in upping our security on campus. We've done a lot in terms of things like license plate readers, a lot in terms of things like Lyft, which you probably know about. So I think, it's never enough. Each time there might be a burglary or a robbery or, something that involves one of our students or faculty or staff. It's never enough, but we have to continue to never be satisfied to keep it getting better. So I appreciate the question.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. I think another thing, we wanted to know was, in light of recent events, what is the university's response to students in support of Palestine and Israel, as both groups have, demanded that the university show more public support for either side?
Sure. So I think you all have done a really nice job covering what a difficult time it is right now. A difficult time in obviously what's happening in the Middle East, but this is a tough time for all of us in our community. And so I think we've done a number of things that have happened since October 7th. And I think the first piece is, I'm going to break these sort of into sort of words and actions, and go back to our first true north, is the safety and security of our students is the most important thing. And I spend a lot of time, as do many people in this building, on making sure that this is a campus community that is safe, that is a healthy, and spending a lot of time. So we spent a lot of time listening. We spent a lot of time listening to groups in whatever side of the world or wherever you may feel about things, and making sure that if you're a student in any setting that you feel safe. And the second piece is that we believe in the First Amendment, and there is a lot of free speech questions happening these days, and we're a firm believer of this federal guideline of freedom of speech. We have, though, made some very specific statements to align with our actions, and actions is supporting students. One is that a condemnation of terrorism and terrorists, including what happened on October 7th with the Hamas attack on Israeli citizens, on American citizens, and others. We've also made, and I've done this a number of times, I did it last week in University Senate, is all of our students need to feel safe, in safe from harassment, in safe inability of their own ability to speak out, and so we will continue to do that. It has never been acceptable at Ohio State to be discriminatory or harassing, and so one of the things I'd like to make sure that you all recognize is that will never be tolerated at Ohio State. And we will continue to make strong statements that behavior will not be tolerated. And in fact, what I've said in the University Senate, and I would say the same thing to you, is if you all know about these things, not only is it important to do that, but it's our obligation to our community to make sure that we're reporting these things, that we spend a lot of work in our infrastructure, making sure that we have an infrastructure and a process that if a student doesn't feel safe, if they feel harassed, that they have, it's really important that they feel comfortable reporting that, and obviously that goes through a process, and we want to make sure that we're very thoughtful about how that's done. So, we're going to continue to stay vigilant. This is something that is not, you work on from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We've spent, as a team, and I'm sure you all have as well, every hour of every day making sure that we are monitoring the pulse of campus. We've been very fortunate, and I think a lot of it is because, everyone's been very respectful on campus by and large, and we want to make sure that that continues so people do feel free to make appropriate statements and make them feel safe.
The Wexner Foundation recently cut ties with Harvard when they failed to condemn Hamas. Do you fear a similar loss of donors in response to Ohio State's stance on that conflict?
So I think I'm going to go back to principles, right? And I think in terms of principles that are based here in Ohio State and here in Columbus, I'm going to go back to freedom of speech. We've talked a lot about that this morning, and that's something that we will continue to hang our hat on. That we want to make sure that we honor that, and it's a federal law, and it's something that's important for all of our students and our faculty and staff. I think the second piece is making sure that we have open conversations and listening. Again, I'm not going to comment on what happens at another university or another foundation, because I think you should expect me, as your president, acting president, to be focusing on what's happening here at Ohio State, our students, on a daily basis, and that's what we're spending our time on.
How does the university plan to define merit moving forward in regards to admissions that involve race-conscious processes?
Sure. So, really great question. So I think the first thing is that this is a federal law, and as a state institution, we will abide by the federal law. We are spending a lot of time across our administration in understanding in each of our areas. And so when you think about the law school or the medical school or any of our graduate programs for undergraduate, they're all a little bit different in their admissions. And so again, as when the ruling came out, we have been spending, again, across the whole institution, evaluating our processes, making sure that they are aligned with federal law, and again, you will begin to see additional reports on that. So thank you for the question.
What responsibilities have you had to take on, transitioning into your role as interim president, and what those responsibilities look like, and how, the process of Ted Carter kind of taking that over next, and how well equipped you feel he is to take on those responsibilities once you are finished with yours?
That's a really great question. So it's probably a lot like you all when you signed up for Lantern, is that there was this position description and you thought, this is what my day is going to look like. And as you know, probably from the many months that you've been doing this, the second your day starts, it's completely different, right? And just like your world in journalism, Ohio State evolves just about every second of every day. And so for me, it was going in and thinking about this incredible role, and obviously very honored to be in this role, but how quickly Ohio State moves, right? And how fluid the dynamics of the institution is, but how important it is to be very flexible, probably like in your worlds, that you have to be able to adapt and adapt quickly. I think the importance, one important thing is this job has really taught me how to listen, and I think be a more effective listener to the different voices across Ohio and Ohio State, and how we can take that input from whether it's what we call shared governance, or you talk about transparency and understanding the needs of the different groups, and how we can use that to make Ohio State a better place going forward. So we're a great place, but we always want to get better. So to answer the second part of your question, really excited for President Carter. I think that he understands the importance of the academic mission. He understands the importance of the undergraduate and the graduate experience, and the importance of things like campus safety, the importance of shared governance, the importance of making sure that the students that come to Ohio State leave in a place where they're going to be very successful, regardless of what area of their studies are. So I'm excited for him to get here. I've loved every minute of this job because I get to do fun things like this. But I also have a day job to give back, working on the great things happening in our research enterprise, and so excited for January 1st to be there.
Awesome. Kind of going off of that, we kind of wanted to know how your other role as Executive Vice President for Research and Innovation has prepared you for this role as Interim President, and how you've kind of been able to take those skills into this role.
I think probably like your staff, I think what I've hopefully taken into this role is the importance of the people around you, right? And the importance of the team that you put together to address really complicated tasks or complicated issues. And just like you all do, I'm sure you spend a lot of time around the table deciding kind of how you make decisions. I think some of the things that we've done, whether it's from my own laboratory, which studies heart failure and heart disease in little kids, we get to solutions in science by getting the best ideas together. And it doesn't matter whether you're a senior faculty member or an undergraduate or even a high school student. Every one of those opinions matter to be able to solve the solution, to create a solution. And so I think taking a lot of those, very basic foundational, processes and bringing them together and really listening to a diversity of ideas before we just jump in and, make a comment or create a solution, to understand what stakeholders need and really be thoughtful about what that solution might look like, not just for one group, but for every group on campus.
Have you been in constant communication with President Carter, and I don't know if you guys have had any conversations about, once he does take over, what that's going to look like, what his plans are. I'm sure, you can't speak for everything that he has planned or, what he wants to do, but if you guys have had any conversations regarding, his first plan or initiative that he wants to implement.
Yeah, so a great question, yeah.
Thank you.
So he's excited,
Yeah.
and we speak reasonably regularly. We usually, he has a full-time job in Nebraska, and he's very busy being the leader there. He has a lot of questions, and really questions because he's excited. Questions about, how does this piece of the university work, or how many students are there, or what is the relationship between Columbus campus and Lima campus, or what exciting things is Ohio State doing with Intel. So he brings such a diverse background, and I think each time you get an opportunity to bring in a leader to an organization, whether it's a Lantern staff or a football program or senior administration for university, you're always going to find a leader that's going to make it better. And he's someone that is going to build on existing strength, but really bring a very strong vision for a land-grant university for the next 50 years. So he's going to be great.